Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Shutt here, tracking a line of some severe thunderstorms that are pushing across the area. And these have had a history of producing some damaging winds. And we're already getting some storm reports coming in Guernsey County of trees down in Guernsey County, and even a preliminary report of a possibility of a tree falling on a trailer. So these storms have that history of producing some damaging winds. And that's what we're primarily concerned about. And you can see just a large swath of where we're drawing that severe thunderstorm warning now, pretty much encompassing the entire area, as we've seen these thunderstorms now along that I-77 corridor continue to advance towards the northeast. And now they're going to be pushing into portions there of Carroll, Harrison, Belmont, and already into Monroe County as well. And again, this will be impacting the entire region. So this is worth noting that if you are watching this from possibly your phone outside and it's still relatively quiet, maybe you're tuning in from Jefferson County, Brooke, Hancock, Columbiana County, Ohio County, you need to be prepared to seek shelter, because I don't want you to get in the situation. I know a lot of us may be trying to get out in the lake on a boat and enjoy the weather. Some of us may be outside to a point where we can't immediately seek shelter within a matter of even 5 minutes. Whatever the possibility is, now's the time to take action. These are moving pretty quickly too. They're moving right around about 45 miles per hour. So the line of storms is moving rather quickly across the area. So I wanted to get the word out. And again, if you know anyone that's enjoying the outdoors today that may not be near an immediate shelter, you want to be alerting those folks right away, because you don't want to be caught outside within these thunderstorms as they progress across the area. And again, the main concern we're dealing with these thunderstorms is that potential for some damaging winds. We have not really seen much of a hail threat with these storms today. It has certainly remained more of that damaging wind threat is what we're mainly concerned about. So again, good thanks for joining me this evening as we look ahead into Memorial Day. We're going to be dealing, unfortunately, with these severe thunderstorms this evening, and I don't think we can quite let our guard down even tonight. I think it'll be late tonight. We're well after midnight, if not more early tomorrow morning. This could be a few hours leading up to sunrise where we could get another round of some thunderstorms moving into the regions, and I don't think we can quite let our guard down even with that line as well that we can see moving in at that point. So there's our severe thunderstorm warning. Now, this is one of two polygons that the National Weather Service office at Pittsburgh did draw up. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 6:15. It may very well extend this. This, of course, includes New Martinsville. And we're seeing that line of thunderstorms now just entering into New Martinsville, impacting the Woodsville area right now. We're seeing these line of thunderstorms now moving into the Barnesville location, moving there, and of course, towards Bethesda and eventually towards St. Clairsville and Wheeling. Wheeling not under that severe thunderstorm warning, but again, could very well get advanced further towards the northeast. The severe thunderstorm warning, then, that polygon that's drawn a little further north, in effect till 6:15 as well. And we're dealing with those thunderstorms now, just not quite Decatur, but certainly getting close, getting some rain out ahead of that line, now entering into the portions of Cadiz and Harrison County. Those thunderstorms currently impacting the New Philadelphia, Dover area, going to be moving towards the northeast. So as you can see, this is going to be pretty much impacting, encompassing the entire area where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings that remain in effect. Now, the possibility for a brief spin up of a tornado is there. We haven't had much of rotation within these thunderstorms over us going through this afternoon. We had some rotation at times looking towards Hocking County. If you're familiar with the Hocking Hills State Park area near Hocking County, there was a signature showing up where there was a brief rotation, and that would be any tornado threat we're going to get. It would be a brief touchdown, a brief backup. It would be a very brief tornado, but that possibility has been there. Again, we have not seen that so far for us over Eastern Ohio, the Northern Panhandle. Nothing threatening in that regard right now, but it is something else we're going to be keeping an eye on. But certainly the primary concern, what we're most going to see, is that potential for some damaging winds as these progress across the area. And so let's look at some of the timing here as this continues to move toward the northeast. And again, this is moving pretty quickly. So here it's 6:03. So we're even talking within the next hour that we see this line of thunderstorms progressing across much of the region. Even within the next hour, we're likely seeing those thunderstorms impacting the Steubenville area and then even East Liverpool. So even within the next hour, this line is likely already close to, if not actually progressing across the area. So that's why I say that, if you're tuning in still ahead of these thunderstorms, they're moving pretty quickly. So you need to be prepared to seek shelter even within that next hour. even within that next hour. Just looking at keeping a close eye on some updates from the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh, as well as we are doing this live stream, and just looking at some updates that they're giving. And they're also, this is where we're getting some of their storm reports as well. It's a very valuable resource to be in direct communication with them. And they're just noting that still seeing some pretty gusty winds uh, with these storms as they are progressing into the area. So there's a look at the timing. And again, when it comes to the hail threat, we have not really seen that hail threat present within these thunderstorms. We have not had reports of hail with these storms. It's less of a hail threat and more of that damaging wind threat with these thunderstorms. I know we did have some hail with the storms that we were tracking yesterday. In terms of the rotation, you can see we have not had much rotation over us either, looking at eastern Ohio, the northern panhandle. So that has been, thankfully, that has been kept to a minimal. But we look at our velocity product here. Again, this is what we're looking at for those wind speeds and direction. Now, this is also the product that is used when we are looking at rotation within thunderstorms. This is the same product that's used whenever you see radar indicator rotation. This is the product that meteorologists use. We use the velocity product of radar. So you're going to see a lot of green. You're going to see a lot of red there. The green is the winds that are blowing towards the radar site, and red is away. Now, when you're seeing the green turn to a blue, that just indicates a stronger wind blowing towards the radar site. And when you see that red turn to more of a, you could say more of a brown, I guess, or a lighter pink, that is just indication that those winds are higher blowing away from the radar site. So those are the different colors you can see showing up here. So we can start to see a sample, and you can already see that the brighter green almost turning blue there, indicating some of those higher winds. So we're seeing some of those higher winds that radar is indicating right now close to the Barnesville location. In fact, the radar is picking up on that just north of Barnesville, moving towards Flushing and Morristown. So that's where we're seeing radar indicating some of the highest winds right now. And we get a sample of this. And now we did not want the severe thunderstorm warning. I think they literally just issued that as soon as we went to click. I really think they just issued that as soon as we went to click. So we're going to drop that real quickly here because we wanted to get a sample of the wind speeds that radar's picking up on. So 56 miles per hour, we're dealing with 54. 53. So yeah, that's a good, those are some borderline damaging winds right there, exceeding 55, 56 miles per hour, possibly again, even up to 60. So there's some damaging winds that radar's estimating picking up on just north of Barnesville. And that's moving then into the western Belmont County. You can see where it's tracking. These are moving to the northeast. So where it's going to be tracking is towards Morristown, Flushing in a matter here of just likely the next 15 minutes, within the next 15 minutes. So here shortly, it's going to be moving in towards Morristown, Flushing, and then eventually likely that as it moves towards the northeast, probably going to be centered more north of St. Clairsville. But that's where radar is estimating some of the highest winds right now, in excess of 50 miles per hour, but still getting some gusty winds in general across this line. We're looking into Tuscarawas County right now, 37, 32 mile per hour, still some gusty winds in general across this line. So definitely anticipate those winds picking up across this line of thunderstorms as they progress across the region. Looks like the radar's picking up on some pretty high winds there, looking towards New Martinsville as well, up to about 50 miles per hour. So likely you're going to see some of the highest winds right now. Radar's picking up on with this line of thunderstorms is into western Belmont, but not far behind that, radar picking up on some pretty high winds moving towards New Martinsville area as well, out of Tyler County and into portions there of Monroe and into Wetzel County as well. So that's where we're seeing some of the highest winds right now with these thunderstorms. Again, certainly the potential is there for some damaging winds. And right here is where we're seeing that best potential right now for some damaging winds right over Fairview. And then moving towards Morristown, Flushing areas. This is just north of Barnesville, north of Bethesda, Belmont, and Belmont County. And this is then moving towards the Flushing, Morristown area, Donnersville. That's where this is. These higher winds are heading there into northern Belmont County. So and these are coming out of Guernsey County, which again, remember we were discussing at the top of this. If you're just now joining, we actually have some reports coming in of trees down in Guernsey County from the National Weather Service of Pittsburgh. Also heard they also issued a preliminary report of hearing a tree falling on a trailer. So they noted, they mentioned it heard on the scanner. They don't, not sure of a location. So already having some preliminary storm reports coming in there of some wind damage in Guernsey County. So thank you all for tuning in. Get to some of these comments now. Feel free to ask any questions. Hello, Suzanne, Elaine, Anna. Hello to all of you. tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Mary, Stephanie, thank you all. Thundering in from Sherrodsville, Suzanne says, 11-mile-per-hour wind, friendly West Virginia, Ken says. Jason's watching from Powhatan. Well, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Yeah, some of the highest winds we're seeing right now, the greatest potential for damaging winds is this storm, within this line of thunderstorms is right here into Belmont County. So if you're tuning in near the Fairview area, you're likely going to be dealing with some of those higher winds right now. So the white area, Brighton, is, so we're looking at, this is a product called Velocity, a radar product, and the green winds blowing towards the radar site, red's away. But not only that, you can also see, if I put this out, let's get the pointer here. So notice how the legend also will go from there's the green. I can't quite point over the legend, but see the blue there where I'm pointing just above that? It goes from green to blue, almost a blue, and there's a little bit of white in between that transition. So that all that indicates is stronger and stronger winds are blowing towards the radar site. So that white you see there is stronger winds than the green. So this is just indicating higher winds relative to the darker green, the lighter greens. It's just indicating some higher winds there. So that is what we're watching. Anytime we're seeing that, we're seeing that color transition from more of the green to white to blue. That's indicating then that radar is picking up on some even higher winds, right? It's picking up on some high winds, and radar still measuring there close to 60-mile-per-hour winds. That is easily some damaging winds there into the northwestern portion of Belmont County, moving there towards Flushing, Morristown area, again, coming out of Fairview area. That's north of Barnesville, Belmont, Bethesda. That's north of those locations, but it'll be moving towards Morristown, Flushing, Fairview. And then likely, eventually, as it continues to the northeast, we're going to be watching winds could very well weaken at this point, but eventually, the track of this is moving north of St. Clairsville, and if we were to look even further to the northeast, that's moving, then Flushing, and then eventually towards Mount Pleasant. So Mount Pleasant area. So again, the winds could weaken by the time it reaches towards Mount Pleasant. But right now, that's where we're seeing some of the highest winds within this line of thunderstorms, is right there into the northwestern in Belmont County. Now, looking further to the south, we were just looking at this a little earlier too. We're seeing some pretty high winds measured there near Woodsfield, New Martinsville area especially. We're scanning higher elevation away from radar sites. These might be inflated a bit, but still likely a good chance we're dealing with those wind speeds at least closer to 50 miles per hour. So still dealing with some pretty gusty winds there, potential for damaging winds, as that line of thunderstorms is now entering into the Martinsville area, has been impacting Woodsfield area, eventually towards then Clarington as well, as we track these to the northeast. So let's go back to our radar here, or as we go back to our radar, let's get a good idea of some of these warnings. Again, that we just had that new warning issued. We were trying to look at the wind speeds, and they issued that polygon right over when we went to click. So there's the severe thunderstorm warning that wasn't in effect till 6:15. Here's the new one that was drawn up just as we were looking at some of those wind speeds. This is until 7:15. So you can see this encompasses all of the Carroll County, the western portion of Columbiana County, most of Jefferson County, and there's another one popping up just in time as we're talking about it. That's until 7 o'clock. So you can see these severe thunderstorm warnings now pretty much essentially encompassing all of the area at this point, most of it. The only locations left out at this point, out ahead of that line, is, of course, there into Brooke, Hancock County, eastern Jefferson, and eastern Columbiana County. But there's good bets that this could very well get extended into the remainder of our coverage area, the remainder of our location, as we do extend. Again, this within the next hour, we're dealing with these storms likely already progressing across the area. So it's a pretty narrow window of time that we have here that we're dealing with that potential for damaging winds. Of course, you see we're still dealing with some rain in the wake of this line. So still not good news for those outdoor plans this evening. But this is just a situation where, if you're watching this from your phone and you're outside, obviously, if you're outside right by the house, it's not too big of a deal. You're able to seek shelter quickly, but you don't want to get anyone caught off guard to where it takes longer than 5-10 minutes to seek shelter, especially longer than even 5 minutes to seek shelter from these storms as fast as they are progressing. Just think of a good example. A lot of people may be out on the lake this evening, and as fast as these are progressing, right, now's the time to get to the shore to be able to seek shelter as these storms are moving into the area. So just quickly, just glancing down, checking up to see if we have any more storm reports coming in, anything of that nature. Nothing yet coming in. Just the only storm reports coming in our area so far have been that noted there into Guernsey County. Looking at that I've seen is Guernsey County seeing some uh, trees down in Guernsey County, and then the possibility there the tree falling on a trailer. So I'm not noting the location so far, but they just noted they heard that on mentioned on the scanner out of Guernsey County. How bad is storms in Shadyside, and when will the storm be here? So let's go back up to Brighton says just north of the White, it's really blowing here. Yeah, you were right in the path of some of those high winds there in northwest Belmont County. Yeah, some of the highest winds we're dealing with right now with this line is right there in northwest Belmont County. So let's see. What's the outlook for Steubenville? So we got Steubenville questions, Wheeling. So it looks like a lot of you are curious when it's arriving. So let's go back to our graphic here that we had for the arrival time. We're going to have to redraw this now with the progression of the storm. No problem. Let's redraw this real quick, and we'll get an estimated time on when these are moving in. Again, they're moving pretty quick, so not going to be too much longer from now. So there's an estimated time. So right now, 6:15. So here in likely the next, that seems a little, let's back this up. I think that's a little, certainly not perfect, but it gives a good idea of the timing as these are moving in. So here closer to 6:30, likely will be in the Wheeling area. And then Steubenville will be closer to about 6:45. So here within a half hour, likely in the Steubenville area, Wintersville area. And then about 5 minutes after that, the Weirton area. So not too far after that mark in the Weirton area. East Liverpool, then closer towards 7 o'clock, Washington, PA as well. So that gives you an idea if you're tuning in any of these locations, rough estimate of time of when these will be arriving as these progress to the northeast. So again, they're moving pretty quick. So even like I mentioned, within the next hour, that these storms are probably already starting to push out of our area here within the next hour. Ray says, I hear thunder in New Athens now. Jay says, what about Powhatan? Yeah. So again, the potential there. So there's a good timing, but in terms of what we could deal with, again, it's going to be some high winds. That's what we're mainly concerned about with these storms. And right now, like we were just tracking the highest winds that we've been seeing so far, where they're into Belmont County. And we're keeping an eye on where we're seeing some of these higher winds within this line of thunderstorms. But the potential is there across the area to deal with, because again, the winds could vary in intensity at times. But we're seeing some of those higher winds right now coming out of Guernsey into Belmont County. We're going to keep a close eye on these winds as the line progresses across the area. But that potential is there for wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour within this line across the region. So, of course, right now we're tracking that given location there towards into Belmont County, but the potential is there. The potential is there across the area to deal with some high winds as this continues to move towards the northeast across the region. So, and you can see that severe thunderstorm warning, it encompasses the entire region. So that potential is there, unfortunately, for all of us to deal with some high winds. And even without, even outside of where we're seeing some of the potential for wind gusts reaching that's upwards of 60 miles per hour, we're still getting some gusty winds, even though it's not to that extent within this line as it continues to move northeast. Suzanne asks, any spin ups? We've had that potential. We have not seen that over eastern Ohio, the northern panhandle. And I think that risk for us is going to be lower, but we have seen that with this line as it progressed across the Buckeye State. Earlier gave the example of Hocking County, their Hocking Hill State Park. The potential was there for a brief spin up, could very well have occurred, but I've not heard any storm reports coming in from that. But that potential has been there with this line. It looks like the potential for us in eastern Ohio, the northern panhandle, does look low. But the potential has certainly been there with this. So that is something we're keeping an eye on. But again, the main concern here that a lot of us are going to end up seeing is some pretty gusty winds with this line moving through. Because we look at some of the rotation, and you'll see the rotation radar picking up on just has not picked up on any rotation over us so far. So it has had a history of some rotation, but over us has not been so much. We have not seen that. Some rotation there around Mansfield. In fact, I believe up towards Mansfield is where we had, there was a tornado warning. That's out of our area, but so it's the potential has been there, and it did have some where rotation was picked up there in Mansfield. They issued that tornado warning, but we do not have that in effect in our area. And again, we have not seen as these have progressed, even over uh, East Central Ohio, we have not seen that into our area with these thunderstorms. Is this the only line of storms this evening? Scott asks. So yes, as this moves through, this is going to be it for the near term. I do worry that we can see another round of another line of storms move through, and the potential is there that could be some strong to severe thunderstorms, and that would be more in line with tomorrow morning. So, for this evening and for much of tonight, likely this is it. But we can have another line redevelop and push into the region, but it looks late tonight. It looks more leading up to sunrise. We're talking likely closer to, if not after 3 a.m., more 4, 5, 6 a.m. It looks late tonight, more in line with early tomorrow morning that we could see another line move into the region. So, in terms of the severe threat, once this moves through, it will subside likely here near term for this evening. As you can see, we're still dealing with some rain in the wake of this line, even extending back into Coshocton, Muskingum, looking there into Perry, Morgan County as well. Whereas we're still seeing some rain in the wake of this, still going to put a damper on those outdoor plans. But as this line does then progress across the area, at least our severe risk will subside for the near term, likely for the rest of this evening and for majority of tonight. But yes, I would watch and would watch it going into early tomorrow morning for that potential for another line. We've had some the high resolution models are picking up on that potential for dealing with another line moving in early tomorrow morning, going into Memorial Day. James says high winds and torrential rain in Sardis. Nothing here in Faribault. Heather says I got thunder in Kensington, Ohio. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Scott. Thundering here in Shady Sides and thunder rain in Powhatan. Thunder dark in Amsterdam area. Janice says. Was watching from Barnesville, Bev says. Just passed through Uricksville, Brandy mentioned. So let's go back to get one more last look at the timing here. The severe thunderstorm warning that encompasses Wetzel County, Marshall, Belmont, Monroe, Ohio County. That's until 7 o'clock. That severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Again, the primary concern there, those wind potential for wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and the same potential wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. The same concern with their severe thunderstorm warning that covers then Columbiana County, Carroll, Jefferson, Harrison County, Tuscarawas County, and the sliver of Belmont County as well. That severe thunderstorm warning in effect for these locations until 7:15 p.m. So what we're going to keep a close eye on here is this velocity product. So this is where we're going to be watching for where radar's picking up some of these higher winds. So it looks like radar's starting to pick up on some higher winds now there into moving into Harrison County. So we're seeing some of those higher winds moving out of Belmont now into Harrison County. So look like some pretty high winds around the New Martinsville, Clarington area as well. And we'll estimate what some of these wind speeds are that radar's picking up. If we can't, it looks like we're gonna have to drop our severe thunderstorm warning real quick. Okay, let's see what radar's picking up on for wind speeds. Still potential still there up to about 60 miles per hour. Roughly the potential still there. Those winds, higher wind speeds now north of St. Clairsville. This is going to be impacting more of the Caddis. So especially locations near Caddis, South Caddis, Southern Harrison County. That's where we're seeing some high wind speeds. Radar picking up on now. Potential for some damaging winds there into Southern Harrison County. Again, near Caddis and areas, locations south of Caddis, and then still dealing with some high winds. Radar estimating. Let's see what these winds are coming out of just east there, Barnesville. Potential there for wind speeds exceeding 50 miles per hour. So some high winds there. Radar picking up on as well. It's east of Barnesville. Locations there. That's into southern Belmont County. So we're dealing with locations southern Belmont County. That would be then moving towards the northeast. So we'll be looking towards St. Clairsville area, Wheeling area. So we're going to watch for those high winds right now that are, again, east of Barnesville, southern Belmont County, and then some high winds as well near New Martinsville. We're dealing with some high winds in New Martinsville area, dealing with the potential for wind speeds. Again, the potential damaging winds is there as well. We're dealing with the radar estimating those wind speeds up to 60 miles per hour. Clarington, New Martinsville locations, that's where we're seeing that. And for James, was it James? I think it was Jason. Sorry, I apologize. Jason joining us from Powhatan. So we're going to be watching some of those high winds moving your way, Jason, right now. So some high winds just to the southwest of you. Nothing in Follinsby yet, so quiet it's almost scary. I know, right? Yes. And that's the whole reason, the good thing of getting the word out to, friends, family, because you get in a situation where you're out, like I said, could very well be out in the lake enjoying the weather this Memorial Day weekend, and you don't want to be in a situation where you can't seek shelter within a matter of even a couple minutes. I mean, you can't really do that when you're out in the lake. So it's just a matter, if you're outdoors to the point where you can't immediately seek shelter, it's a good idea to get that word out to your friends, family, anyone you know that may be out on the lake. Give them a heads up and say, hey, you might want to head to shore. These storms are moving in. You don't want to be caught out in the lake within these storms. And that's definitely a good thing. If you know anyone that may be in that situation, definitely give them a heads up if you can reach them. I know cell service is not always the best, unfortunately, on those lakes either, but if you can reach them and say, heads up, get off the lake, get to shore. We're dealing with some bad storms moving in. Certainly good idea to do that if you know anyone in that situation, to get the warning out, because again, these are moving quick, and like I mentioned, within even the next likely 45 minutes at this point, these storms have already progressed across the area, so they are moving quick towards the northeast. Thundering and raining in Caddis, Scott says, and Jason Smith is Irondale. Brianna's asking about Toronto. So again, where we're seeing some of those highest winds right now is there in the Clarington area, north of New Martinsville, just south of Powhatan Point, and then we're looking towards the north, dealing with some higher winds in Caddis. So let's actually let's take a look at some of our tower cams across the area. Actually, let's see if we can get a view of some of these storms moving through the region on some of our tower cams. Good idea of get us actually some eyes out there. Let's see if we can get any pictures. So we're gonna be taking a closer look there to Caddis. Might have already lost power. Honestly, that may very well be. Caddis may very well be out of power there with that tower cam down. Just getting a kind of a view on things. Of course, those higher winds now out of the New Martinsville area. Still awfully, like you mentioned, awfully eerily quiet, Brian, there in the Weirton, Steubenville area, out ahead of these storms. Certainly eerily quiet. Let's look at Bel Air. Let's look into St. Clairsville. Yeah, Caddis would be the one that we would want to be looking at right now, but I have high suspicions that it's down with a loss of power, unfortunately, and that may very well be enough evidence in and of itself of some high winds now moving into that area, into that location. That may be enough proof right there. Power flickering on and off at Sharesville, Suzanne says. Nothing but thunder and Mingo so far. Clouds in Lisbon, and clouds are rotating in Uniontown. Ooh, very scary there, Thomas. Colina says, just started raining and thundering in Bridgeport, and rain and wind in Caddis, Aaron says. So yeah, you're joining us from Caddis there. We were just trying to get a view in Caddis, Aaron, of the tower cam, and it looks like it's down. I have a suspicion that at least where the tower cam is, maybe there's a loss of power as we're trying to get a view there in the Caddis, but it looks like we may have very well have lost power there as we're trying to get a view. Larissa says Parkersburg, West Virginia. It looked like it was going to get nasty. Nothing in Adida yet, Tony says. Storming in New Martinsville, lost power. Shirley says nothing but sprinkles in Harrisville, and it's raining, Terry, Heather says. and thunder, Becca says. I want to get a update as well on some of our power outage situations. Um, Looking at Coshocton County, it's just out of our coverage area, East Central Ohio, 4,247 out of power. So Guernsey coming in at 472, Monroe 417. And now these are always, there's a bit latency with this, these outages. Obviously, it's going to lag behind when the power goes out and then when it's actually reported. But not seeing a whole lot right now so far. Again, the most that we're seeing in Ohio, in Eastern Ohio, there in our area is Guernsey County 472, Monroe 417. And then looking into West Virginia, very little so far. Wetzel 37, Brook 4, Tyler 4, Tyler County 4. So, this likely will pick up. Like I said, there's definitely that latency where by the time the power outages are reported, then it will be put into, and what I'm using here is what's called poweroutage.us, a website, and it combines multiple carriers. So it's very useful. So when we're looking in Ohio, we're not just looking at AEP. For example, looking Guernsey County, where that had 470 customers out, we're not looking at just AEP Ohio. We're looking at City Utilities, Frontier Power, Guernsey Muskingum Electric, South Central Power, Washington Electric. So multiple carriers there, looking into these counties to combine to add up to the totals. So, and Tuscarora said 51. Again, I assume that those numbers are going to be going up as more reports are coming in, and once they get filed into the system, then it will come in, and it only updates, I think, every several, if not every, might ever be every 15, 30 minutes or so. So there's another, it needs to update as well. So again, there's a latency, but we're keeping an eye on it. Heather says, thank you for keeping us all up to date with the weather. You're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Thunder and rain was at Stone Creek, Diane says. I saw lightning strike a pool. Oh my gosh. At the Hannibal Dam. Wow. I'm glad you stayed safe there, Monica. Wow. Lightning strike a pool along the road. Still eerily still in Steubenville. Yeah. Yes, it is. It is eerily still as an out ahead of that storm. Cindy says, thank you for keeping us so very well. Thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. Thunder in Harrisville starting to rain, Malcolm says. So let's go back from our tower cam views, and we're going to get back to looking at radar. We want to keep an eye on that radar. In fact, I'm going to check up any more reports coming in. Not seeing any more reports at this moment. Oh, we just got a new tornado warning. How about that? Right there, as soon as I was looking at that. So this is an example of that brief spin up. So I'm actually going to be hopping off here. We're going to be hopping off here and join me on air. All right. So join me on WTOV9, Fox 9. We're going to be cutting in for this tornado warning. So join me on air, and I will join you back here after this warning has been canceled or expired. I'll join you back on Facebook, X, as well as YouTube. So, but right now we're going to be jumping on air for this tornado warning, and this is likely a brief spin up, but the impacting the Moundsville area. So if you're tuning in Moundsville, if you know anyone in Moundsville, you'll need to seek shelter immediately, right? Lowest level, interior room, away from windows. Now's the time. Moundsville area, seek shelter now. If you're tuning in anywhere around Moundsville, that tornado warning in effect till 6:45. So again, I'm going to be hopping on air. Stay safe, everyone. Again, join me on WTOV9 Fox 9. We're going to be cutting in right now for this tornado warning.